Today on the show, we're talking about the occult symbolism infused in the most popular female superhero of the past 30 years.
Wonder Woman.
She's a princess and a soldier. She is the one named
Miss Marvel.
Sailor Moon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not gonna work.
Oh no, this is the one.
Wow, I've been so excited to hear about your Sailor Moon review.
Well, you're part of the reason why I'm doing this today, because you encouraged me with your support and friendship.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Sniffing each other's butts over here.
You're just jealous.
Great. The only person watching this episode will be Space Brain.
I think there's a lot of meatball heads out there that are going to watch my Sailor Moon review.
Alright, it's up to Robot to turn this ship around.
What do you...
Today on the show, Robot's gonna review one of the most badass, manly movies of all time, Commando. Dun dun. Dun dun.
All right. Let's get back to Sailor Moon. All right, I know...
No, we're not reviewing Sailor Moon.
No, we're reviewing Sailor Moon, okay? Specifically, we're going to talk about Sailor Moon R, okay? It was recently re-released. It's got a new dub. And then we're going to break down some of the characters and talk about how they represent the metaphysical properties of their planets.
Nobody cares about Sailor Girl stuff.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is one of the most popular animation franchises for reals, okay? This is like some #1 worldwide hit phenomenon. Sailor Moon revitalized the magical girl genre. It made anime popular in the West, not only in America, but all over, okay?
Yeah, Commando is super popular all the time.
All the time. All the time. I think that's one of his lesser known films, in fact. We're going to talk about one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's lesser known films, Commando. This is pretty well known. I think this is more well known.
Commando is way more well known than
No.
Sailor whatever it's called.
No, it's super not. It's super not. And I think that this is for girls, by girls. It's amazing.
Gay.
Oh, whoa.
Sailor Moon is gay.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa, you did not. You did not.
Whatever. I can say whatever I want now that Trump is president.
Fuck. This is exactly what I was afraid of.
Me and my friend Bobo say it on Xbox all the time.
Oh, I know you do. That's very true.
I thought everyone knew not to use that word in that context anymore.
Sailor Moon, totally gay.
Well, you know what? You're not entirely wrong, because there is a little bit of some gay subtext going on in Sailor Moon R.
What?
But I totally love it. I think it's super cute. Yeah, this alien, the bad guy who's an alien from outer space, he totally has a crush on Mamoru, Sailor Moon's boyfriend. Like, they had a thing.
Well, I didn't mean it like that.
Well, well, that's in there.
I meant that it's not like this movie, which is totally badass and for dudes and awesome.
All right, Robot, I'm going to let you talk about Commando, but first I need to talk about Sailor Moon because I've been telling people online about it and everyone's so excited. I mean, you're talking about we're tanking the channel, but everyone's been bugging me ever since I brought it up a few episodes ago.
Okay, fine, but hurry it up so we can get to the good stuff.
Here we go. All right, finally, Sailor Moon.
Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight, never running from a real fight. She is the one named Sailor Moon.
So my first encounter with Sailor Moon was in a newspaper. There was an article about the show coming to the US, and they had this image of her beside it, and she was striking her pose behind the moon, and it just flipped a switch in my girl brain. I am exactly the target demographic for this. I was just exactly the perfect person to see this. I had already been excited about superheroes from watching the X-Men and the Spider-Man cartoons on Fox, but seeing this, I was like, holy shit. I got so excited that I had to cut it out, this image, and fold it up and keep it with me, and I would just look at it You know, when I was by myself, I had never seen like Japanese cartoons like this with these big eyes and the long legs and her hair, and it was just like, oh my god, her fucking bow and the skirt. I was all in on Sailor Moon just from this single image.
Okay.
I mean, it's got everything that a little girl could want. You have sailor soldiers who have these cute outfits. They have these transformation sequences. There's crystals, there's bows on things, there's sparkles everywhere, there's it had everything that my girl brain like needed at the time.
I am Sailor Moon! And now, in the name of the moon, I'll
Okay,
punish you!
I don't get it. Where do they go? What do they do? Who do they fight?
Okay, here's the deal. Sailor Moon, she is a regular schoolgirl. She's a 14-year-old girl when she starts out on the show.
Balancing being a student and a guardian of justice is exhausting.
And a talking magical cat named Luna. Again, this is like, oh my god, talking magical cats? Like, I'm so in on this. Gives her a magical brooch, which has a crystal in it, and she uses this compact to turn into, magically transform into a sailor soldier, Sailor Moon. She finds other sailor soldiers around her. We got Sailor Mercury, Sailor Mars, Sailor Jupiter, and Sailor Venus, and they all come together and then they fight evil. They protect Earth from evil, from outer space, from other dimensions. You name it, they protect Earth.
Commando protects Earth.
No, he doesn't, actually.
Uh-huh. Well, let me tell you what he does do.
Okay.
So in Commando, John Matrix is this ex-army badass guy who is like the best badass ever.
Mm-hmm.
But he moves into the woods to have like a normal life, right?
John Matrix.
So he moves into the woods to have a normal life, just to be a cool dude.
Right.
And he has like, oh, and also he has like rippling muscles and he can just
Right.
pound wood and he's really tough.
Okay.
Really tough, super strong.
Okay.
He can rip chains, he can flip cars, he can lift a whole telephone booth,
All right, okay,
and,
but...
and he can hold a guy over a cliff with one hand.
all right, now...
Can Sailor Moon do that?
Okay, you were just talking shit about you have no idea what it's about. What is Commando actually about? Because that's just about how cool...
It's about this guy who used to be the best soldier and now he has to go back because someone's killing all of his men.
Well, what about the fact that he has a young daughter? I mean, you're kind of forgetting that whole plot line. I mean, he's doing all this to protect his young daughter.
Oh yeah, you've seen it?
Well, yeah, I've seen Commando.
Oh yes, awesome, perfect. Anyway,
It's been a
so
while, though.
he can smell the bad guys coming. He's that good.
It can smell them. Is there a scene where he sniffs them out?
Yeah, there is.
You're downwind. The air current may tip them off.
Downwind? You think I can smell them coming?
I did.
Shit. It's been a while since I've seen it, so...
But then they kidnapped his daughter and they cut his wires
Like, cut his wires.
in his truck. They cut his wires.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't matter because he could push his truck. So
Okay.
he chases after him down.
This is... Yeah, yours is so much better than mine. Leaps and bounds. More mature than Sailor Moon.
Yeah, it's not a cartoon for kids.
Well, yeah, this is targeted for, you know, I would say like preteen girls.
I meant that as an insult, but it was true.
Well, I mean, what's wrong with like being a teenage girl? Like, there's a bunch of them around. Girls make up 51% of the population, in fact, and so I think it's okay that we
Anyway,
have
in Commando,
things for them.
the bad guy's name is Bennett, and he wants revenge.
Oh,
Cause John Matrix used to be the leader of the squad, but then he cut him from the team,
oh,
right?
so he's been rejected.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're both like the two toughest guys in the world.
Oh, well,
Anyway,
Bennett doesn't look that tough. I mean, he kind of
so
has
they
a
kidnapped
belly.
his daughter because this foreign dude wants him to kill the president of some other country.
Oh, yeah.
But he doesn't want to do it. So guess what they do to force him to play along?
They threaten to kill his daughter.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
You have seen it.
you know, there's a kidnapping in this movie as well. Sailor Moon's boyfriend gets kidnapped, and she's got to go save him. So, you know, John Matrix and Sailor Moon maybe have some similarities a little bit.
Hi, I'm Usagi Tsukino. I may not look it, but I'm a guardian of justice.
Back to Sailor Moon. let's take a minute to talk about the movie. Sailor Moon R, the movie, just came out on Blu-ray. They totally redubbed the whole thing, new voices. And I think that this is the perfect movie to start with if you have no knowledge of Sailor Moon, you don't know anything about it, and you're interested and you maybe want to know more. This is good because it encapsulates like the core themes of Sailor Moon perfectly.
Themes like what?
Well, themes like the power of friendship.
The power of friendship.
She's got her 4 girls, her homegirls, and her boyfriend, and they are there to help her because the thing that is really striking about Sailor Moon in particular is that she's definitely not a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination. She is a crybaby. Sometimes she gets scared. She is flattered very easily. Like she's got a lot of these qualities, very human qualities. And when she gets really scared, she has her friends there to support her. You know, and they're like, no, we can do this. You know, even her daughter from the future has come back to hang out with her teenage mom and to support her. And, you know, Tuxedo Mask is also shown supporting Sailor Moon several times when she needs some strength, you know, when she's scared. Because, you know, it's scary fighting evil.
My friends are always there to give me the strength and the courage I need.
And I also think that, you know, the more spiritual a thing is, the more simplistic it is. And the power of friendship, I mean, I can see how that would sound really corny, but really we all need friends to help and support us through our lives because we all have difficult times when we're scared. And, you know, it's good to have a friend to back you up. And it says, no, you're doing great, keep going. Give you a hug, pat on the back.
There is no friendship in Commando.
Well, that's not entirely true. Commando befriends that girl, that detective
Not because he
girl.
wants to.
Well, but they do, and she does help him, you know, and that's the thing, is she supports John Matrix with her aviation skills and other skills, and that's also apparent in Sailor Moon R.
So, back to Commando. So then he gets in a fight with the guy from Predator that like cut his face with that razor, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I'm a Green Beret. I'm gonna kick your ass. And then John Matrix is like, I eat Green Berets for breakfast. And then he kicks his ass.
Oh, wow.
It was cool.
Another thing this series highlights is the receptive feminine principle.
God.
What sets Sailor Moon apart is that with most superhero genre things, it's very yang, it's very aggressive and very active. It's all about vanquishing your foe and killing them, you know, just like in the new Wonder Woman movie. Wonder Woman is trying to kill Ares. That's her whole mission. She has a sword that she believes is going to help her vanquish her foe, and her plan to get rid of him is to kill him with this sword. And that is very yang. And Wonder Woman is a very yang female superhero who's a part of a very yang Western culture. Sailor Moon in this movie wins through self-sacrifice and surrender, which is very receptive. It's very yin.
Commando never surrenders. He always beats the bad guy.
Yeah, she also cries, which I think is great. It's good. It's good to show girls that you can be a powerful person and still be scared, still cry, still not be perfect. I love it. I think that's a really important message out there.
Crying is for girls.
No, crying is for being a human. It's just being a human. Shit happens. Life's hard. Sometimes you gotta cry about it. It's okay. And to be 100% honest, I cry at this movie. Like, I super cry at the ending of this movie when she's using the silver crystal, and it's like everyone thinks she's gonna die, and they're all supporting her even though they're sad that she's making the sacrifice, but they understand why she's doing it is to protect them and the earth. And it's just so touching. Like, I actually went to the premiere of this in LA. They premiered this a couple months back, and I was sitting in the back row with all the other freaks, and I totally was crying. I was like just totally crying in the back row watching this.
In the next scene, John Matrix and the chick break into an army gun store and they steal all of the guns and they totally load up. They're ready for your huge mission. John Matrix is on the way to the police station, so now the girl has to save him because she's fallen in love with him. So she pulls out the rocket launcher and blows it up, and he's like, how did you learn to do that? And she's like, I read the instructions, and it was really funny.
Oh, well, I give Commando points for that, because at least you do have a female character who is more than just an object to be avenged or to be saved.
Yeah, she can read instructions and fly planes. I guess because she read the instructions on that one too.
Yeah, and probably took some classes as well.
So this movie has total body count 81 bad guys killed.
So, since we're keeping it balanced today by reviewing both a hyper-feminine and hyper-masculine movie, I think it's a great time to talk about the divine feminine and the divine masculine as through the dualistic philosophical concept from the Eastern tradition of Taoism known as the yin and yang.
Oh, wow. I've wanted to hear about this.
I know what a yang yin is. It means good and bad.
Well, that's what you might think, because society at large thinks in very yang terms. It's very yang thinking, good versus evil. One thing is better than another. Whereas yin, it sees that we're all the same and that it strives to find understanding.
Yeah, but why are you telling me about yang yins?
Look, I'm just trying to show you that even though these two movies seem completely at odds with one another, they're actually quite complementary. I mean, they both feature soldiers who are the best at what they do. They also both feature transformation sequences. Both of their loved ones are kidnapped by some vindictive person of the past who's been just possessed with these low vibrational feelings. Because if you think about it, both of the villains in Commando and in Sailor Moon, their hatred stems from a fear. Fiore is afraid of loneliness, and that loneliness has weakened his mind, and so he's able to be possessed by this evil flower. Bennett, he's also afraid of being alone. He was cut from the herd. He just wants to be a part of something. So it's really just stems from fear. Fear of being alone.
So you're saying yings are better than yangs?
I'm not saying any one is better than another one. I'm saying that they're both complementary forces and that we have to learn how to balance those forces in order to integrate into a healthier whole. Because there's a time to be receptive, there's a time to be active, and you need to learn the times in which to do those things, you know? Don't be too fast, but don't be too slow. Don't be too firm, but don't be too flexible. You know, I mean, there's a time for both. There's a time for both, but it's often hard to negotiate that. That's what balance is. I mean, it's just you constantly have to check in and see what's up. It takes a lot of your brain power. That's why a lot of people don't want to do it.
Oh yeah? Well, Commando is all yang all the time.
Well, that's true. I mean, knives, guns, explosions, putting pipes through people, penetration, yeah, that's very, very yang. But in Sailor Moon, there's a lot of yin going on in this. Like, for example, when her friends get caught and they're being tortured by the villain, and he's like, you better put down your weapon or I'm gonna hurt your friends. And she does. She surrenders and then offers herself as a sacrifice and, you know, takes the pain for her friends against what they want her to do. Friends are like, no, you shouldn't do that.
Back to Commando. So, they kidnapped John Matrix and they got him on the plane and they're taking him to the foreign country so he can assassinate the president for him. But they weren't counting on John Matrix and all of his skills. So he pulls a blanket out and pretends to be putting it on his legs, and then he kills the guy and stabs his neck, and nobody on the plane even has any idea it happens. It was totally awesome.
Well, when you kill someone, don't they like poop their pants? I mean, wouldn't they figure it out pretty quickly? Think of that enclosed space.
No, gross. What's wrong with you?
Okay.
Anyway, so then John Matrix is sneaking through the cargo, and he gets to the bottom of the plane before it's about to fully take off, and he jumps out the wheel hole into a swamp, and now he's on the loose. And he programs his watch 11 hours to save his daughter. Because it's 11 hours before the plane lands, and then they would know that, like, he's not there, and
Right.
they kill his daughter.
I get it.
Yeah.
Back to Sailor Moon, let's talk about how each of the sailor soldiers are imbued with the metaphysical properties of the planets that they represent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool because by getting to know these girls and loving them through this series, like, you also get to learn about the properties of the planets. I love how much thought the creator Naoko Takeuchi put into these characters, okay? Because this woman was not messing around. And not only do these girls represent these planetary energies, their zodiac signs also line up with their planetary energies. They also have, in Japan, there's a blood type personality thing. That also figures into them. There's also elemental attributions that the Japanese have for certain planets. That figures in as well. Not to mention the fact that their names break down into things that totally make sense. And also, at the end of their transformation sequences, they strike poses that kind of look like the glyphs of their planet even. Like, it's like real, okay? It's really real, and I love it. There's so much thought put into these characters.
Back to Commando. So then John Matrix lands on the beach, and it gears up for the final battle with the most awesome gearing up transformation sequence. And now that Commando is decked out, he's ready for the final battle, up against like 50 bad guys.
So now, let's talk about the inner senshi and how their personalities correspond with the metaphysical energies of the planets that they represent.
What's an inner senshi?
Well, the inner senshi is Sailor Moon and her 4 girls. There's like 4 other girls, but like we don't have time to talk about everybody today.
But Sailor Moon? Tell me about Sailor Moon.
So Sailor Moon is the soldier of love and justice. Her name is Usagi Tsukino, and Usagi translates into bunny. And it's interesting to note that in Japan, instead of having a man in the moon, they have a legend of a rabbit in the moon. And that's why she has these really long pigtails, because they're supposed to look like rabbit ears. So the moon is all about the divine feminine principle, like the sun represents the divine masculine principle. It also represents the development of the soul, emotional tides, sensitivity, and Usagi's zodiac sign is Cancer. And Cancers are the mothers and the healers of the zodiac. It's interesting to note that even though Sailor Moon is not very interested in school, that's not her thing, she does excel in home economics, and domesticity is something that is reflected in both the moon and the zodiac sign of Cancer. And that her dearest dream is to one day become a bride. She wants to be a wife and a mother. She is not a career woman.
Tell me about Sailor Mercury.
So now let's talk about Sailor Mercury, Ami, the soldier of water and intelligence. The planet Mercury symbolizes information, communication, and learning. And Ami is the smartest of all the Sailor soldiers. She has an IQ of like over 300, which is insane. It's also interesting that she has a little computer. She's the one with the computer who's analyzing the data. And her zodiac sign is Virgo. And the Virgos are the analysts and the perfectionists of the zodiac. And her dearest dream is to become a doctor. Now, in Japan, there is an elemental attribution to the planet of Mercury that is water. And so that's why we see that all of her attacks are water-based.
So, like, water guns or what?
Well, no, I mean, she does this thing like, shine, aqua, illusion, and then like, all this water comes out. It's pretty awesome.
Tell me about Sailor Venus.
Now let's talk about Sailor Venus, Minako, the soldier of light and beauty. And the planet Venus represents desire, emotional bonds, harmony, aesthetics. And Minako's zodiac sign is Libra. And Libras are the most balanced people of the zodiac. They are the peacemakers, they are the lovers, they are the artists. And this plays into her being the leader of the group. She's the one who's always kind of figuring out what their next move is and getting them together. She's the harmonizer. Because it's not really Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is the most powerful one, but she's not the best at leading them. And we see her artistic side in her dream to become a pop idol. And in Japan, the elemental attribution that is attached to Venus is metal or gold. And we don't see it really in the anime, but in the manga and in other series, we see that she wears a chain around her waist a lot of times. But in the anime, one of her attacks is the Venus Love Me chain.
What about Sailor Mars?
So now let's talk about Sailor Mars. Rei is the soldier of flame and passion. And the planet of Mars represents will, ambition, energy. And her zodiac sign is Aries, and Aries is a fire sign incidentally, and they are also the warriors of the zodiac. And this plays into her relationship with Sailor Moon. Whenever Sailor Moon is being lame about something, like Sailor Mars is always there to call her out, and she does. I mean, she literally kicks her in the ass at times, and they're always fighting one another, like they're constantly butting heads even though they're friends. And Sailor Moon needs that, you know, because we all need a kick in the ass sometimes. Now, Sailor Mars is also a Miko. She works at a Shinto shrine, and her greatest desire is not to become a bride or anything like that. She's a career woman. Okay, she wants to be the head priestess of a Shinto shrine at some point, which totally works into the ambition of Mars. Also, the elemental attribution in Japan is fire, so all of her attacks are fire-based.
Tell me about Sailor Jupiter.
And finally, let's talk about Sailor Jupiter, Makoto, who is the soldier of thunder and courage. Now, it's interesting to note that Mako's name is a unisex name in Japan, and it's usually given to boys. And she is the most tomboyish of all of the sailor soldiers of the Inner Senshi. She is physically the strongest, she is the tallest, she's ready to throw down, and that works with her Jupiter energy. And Jupiter is a planet that's very much associated with a paternal, fatherly gods, the sky gods, such as Jove and Zeus and Odin. And those guys usually have thunder and lightning going on, and all of her attacks are thunder and lightning based. Jupiter also represents expansion and vitality, which plays into the fact that she is an amazing cook. She's also the best cook out of all the Sailor Senshi. She wants to become a baker at some point.
You're becoming a pretty good cook lately.
Well, thank you. I've been trying, you know. It's not easy, but if you keep doing it. Now, the Japanese element that is associated with Jupiter is wood. And this is represented through her wanting to become a florist. She also has rose earrings and her hair is brown. And Sailor Jupiter's zodiac sign is Sagittarius. And Sagittariuses are all about understanding through experience. So it makes sense that she has so many different things she wants to be when she grows up. Like, she wants to get married, she wants to be a baker and have her own bakery, and she also wants to have her own florist shop. So the more things she's able to do, the more she's able to understand.
19. Who's the Sailor Scout that you identify with the most?
If I had to pick one, because I'm not really like super lined up with any of them, but I really think that Sailor Uranus and I have a lot of similarities. I think that she embodies those Aquarian ideals, and I feel like I'm very much an Aquarian in a lot of ways. I'm that rebel.
Well, what does Commando represent?
A male power fantasy of control. To be strong enough where you can do anything and get whatever you want and protect the ones you love and kick everybody's ass and look cool in the process and get the girl and be awesome.
And it is awesome.
And have hilarious one-liners.
And they are.
Remember, Sally, when I promised to kill you last?
That's right, Major. You did.
I lied.
What'd you do with Sully?
I let him go.
To be fair, though, Sailor Moon is also totally a female power fantasy.
Okay, so these bad guys in Commando are super bad. Right? This one guy says,
Slitting a little girl's
slitting little girl's throat
cutting
is
warm
like a
butter.
warm knife through butter. That's
Really,
really, he's a bad guy.
he sure is.
This is why Matrix has to get him.
Right.
And then there's the main bad guy, and he's the worst. Bennett. He talks about how John Matrix is such a badass that he's gonna beat up all these wimpy soldiers for breakfast, and he totally does, and it's awesome. Okay, so then, we're an hour into the movie, and already we've had thousands of explosions. We got lots of explosions here, really cool, tons of explosions. At 1 hour and 12 minutes, we've got awesome rocket launcher action. Check this out. No rocket launchers in Sailor Moon, by the way. Then, at 1 hour and 13 minutes, this is the scene where John Matrix kills like 50 guys on the grass field, shooting up the flowers. Awesome.
Yeah.
The next scene, oh, this is a classic. In the shed, with a pitchfork, he kills a dude, then throws some saw blades, chops a guy's head off. Another guy gets it in the balls with an axe, and then finally, cut off arm scene. Awesome.
You're right, Robot. That scene is really awesome. That is my favorite scene as well.
Yes. Finally, he tracks down that foreign guy who was trying to set him up, kills him. So now Bennett, the main bad guy, is the only one left, right? And it's up to John Matrix and him to fight it out in the boiler room scene. Getting hot.
Getting hot.
Yeah, there's an awesome scene where they're trying to shove each other in the fire, burn each other's faces off.
John, stick your head out. One shot, right between the eyes. I'll make it quick. Just for old time's sake.
So then Bennett's got his daughter, right? And he's like, I'm gonna kill her. And then Matrix is like, drop the gun, Bennett, and let's duke it out, just with knives.
Throw away that chicken shit gun.
I don't need no gun!
And so he totally gets in his head and he's like, yeah, let's have a knife fight instead. So then they do it. And they get together in this awesome one-on-one knife fight.
Right, then they do it,
They
yeah.
drop over a banister and they lose the knives and then they duke it out. Finally, Bennett gets thrown into an electric fence and you think he's done right, but no, it just charged him up more. And then he punches him all over the place.
Just turned him on.
Oh man, it was awesome.
Just like old times.
Finally, Bennett's about to get the gun back in his hand and shoot Matrix to finish him off.
John, I'm not gonna shoot you between the eyes. Shoot you between the balls.
But just in the nick of time, Matrix throws an iron pipe right through Bennett and kills him.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
The end. And they fly away. Perfect movie, 10 out of 10. Robot recommends. Commando.
Since we've been talking about a lot of symbolism today, I mean, just take a look at the symbolism in Commando.
There is no symbolism in Commando. You're being so silly.
Well, I mean, have you ever thought about how, like, what's Bennett's problem, Robot? Like, why is he so upset? You know, why is he so obsessed? He's obsessed with John.
You obviously weren't paying attention. He got kicked off of the squad earlier.
Ever since you had me thrown out of your unit, I've waited to pay you back.
Okay, so he was rejected then. You know, he was
Yeah,
he was in a group with John, and then John rejected him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
So he's like he's been spurned then.
Sure. Yes. Okay.
And so now he's become obsessed with getting revenge, and he's obsessed particularly with this man. He's obsessed with a man.
It's me that you want. I have only one arm. You can beat me. I just want to pull the trigger. Put the knife in me. Look me in the eye. And see what's going on in there when you turn it. That's what you want to do, right? John. Come on.
Yes, revenge. He's
Okay.
obsessed with revenge.
Yes. And so even though he could have easily killed this man that he's obsessed with, John Matrix convinces him that he would rather do it with a knife, and because he thinks that Bennett would like to stick it in, look him in the eyes while he turns it around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's between you and me. Don't deprive yourself of some pleasure. Come on, Bennett.
Okay. And then, I mean, sticking it in, penetration, you know, old time's sake. These are things that lovers say to one another.
What are you getting at?
And then after that, after the knife fight, they fall down and they're grappling around. They're grappling with one another, holding one another, touching one another, touching each other's faces, you know, right?
Yeah, so?
So finally, John penetrates Bennett with a giant phallic pipe, which is ejaculating white steam out of it at the end. Is that right?
Yes, that's the ending shot.
And Bennett also is dressed like a leather daddy and has a cool mustache
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
with a chain and a padlock.
Come on, Bennett. Come on, Bennett.
A giant pipe with white steam pumping out of it.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
It's a little phallic. It's more than a little phallic. It's just straight up phallic, dude. It's just straight up phallic, Robot. That means penis, by the way.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm saying, Robot, is that you could interpret some homoerotic subtext in Commando, and that Commando might in fact be gay. It's a little gay. Let's be honest. It's a little gay. And it's just for men, and it's so many manly man things doing man things. There's a point where you cross.
You're not making any sense right now, you know.
Look, it's okay. There is a homoerotic subtext in Sailor Moon R. I mean, the alien Fiore totally is crushing on Tuxedo Mask. I mean, it's totally a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with it. In fact, it makes me like Commando better if I think about that Bennett really just is in love with John Matrix. It makes it more interesting to me.
I need a break. I need a break. Cut the cameras.
Fun fact, while listening to the amazing director's commentary for Commando, director Mark Lester weighs in on his feelings on the possible homoerotic subtext of Bennett's character.
People later said, oh, Bennett had a little gay feeling to him, that he played it a little bit that way, but I never thought that at the time, and I still to this day, I don't know what people are saying when they say that to me. Because he seems to me like the most macho soldier person you could think of.
See? 100% not gay. He said so. Sailor Moon's still gay, though.
Sailor Moon is super gay. We didn't even go over the lesbian Sailor Scouts, the Sailor Stars who are men, who when they transform, they're women, the little girl who falls in love with a Pegasus, but then he turns into a boy. Like, there's a lot of weird shit going on. So good. Fun fact, I'm actually a really big fan of Commando. It's such a great movie. I crack up every time I watch it, and just giving Robot a hard time. Hey guys, we're having a Patreon revolution. We've done away with the tier system. Now we gotta pay what you want system. And we've reached our first goal of 1,000 patrons, which means now you will be getting ad-free videos for the rest of 2017.
You gave away all of my ad money?
Yeah, I did. I gave away all your spending money. That was his allowance, was all of our ad revenue.
Hey!
And when you become a Team 19 member on Patreon, you all receive access to the same perks. And one of the cool things that I think some of you guys may be interested in is seeing some of my exclusive videos. I have been reviewing Game of Thrones this season. There's a couple of Game of Thrones reviews on there. Talked about Dark Tower, I've talked about Valerian, I've talked about War of the Planet of the Apes, a few other weird things. I talked about Paul's Awakening through the Kabbalistic fucking Tree of Life. So there's a lot of cool shit on there. Check it out. Ad-free.
This sounds a lot like communism. Was this Space Brain's idea?
Yeah, no, this it's just being chill is what it is.